Hi and welcome to a new vlog series. This is day one. We have just got on our cruise. I think people call it Embarkation Day. We're just sailing away from Southampton now. We've got dinner booked for 6:30 in the beach house, and basically there's the birthday boy. There'll be lots of vlogs coming. he believes in Joe Hendrick. Hopefully he'll appear. But yeah, there were lots of vlogs coming, so this is basically day one, and we are just sailing away now.
Without bits and swearing, this Disney fan is caring, admiring her tats while she plays with all her cats. Her disability gives her superpower, agility to holiday and live the right way. Estelosaurus.
So it was the 14th of June, it was Neil's birthday, and here we are heading off on our travels. We decided not to bother with a hotel overnight. We don't live that far away from Southampton, and it was easy enough for us just to travel up in the morning prior to our embarkation time, and yeah, it just saved money on a hotel and things like that. It was just a lot easier for us. So as you can see, it was a pretty grisly old day. It's quite a nice little road to drive on. It's the back road, so it's not the quickest from Plymouth, but yeah, it was a nice drive. We stopped for a Starbucks for some coffee and pastry and breakfast, things like that. I had some egg bites because Starbucks are notoriously terrible for gluten-free offerings. Here we are just heading into Southampton proper. The traffic was pretty busy, and the closer that we got to the quay, to the dock thing, I guess, the busier it got. There was a lot of people going on a lot of cruises sort of on the way in. I think we saw about 3, maybe 4 different cruise ships. So yeah, again, just heading into Southampton here, the traffic was crazy busy, and it did take us a very long time to travel, 20 minutes. And then here is our first glimpse of Iona, just coming around the roundabout here. We are heading into the CPS parking, just because that was a lot easier for us. It was a little bit more expensive, but for us, the ease and having booked the accessibility and having had a blue badge just meant we were able to use the porters and just get parked up a lot closer and easier. Embarkation was really quick and really smooth. We arrived our designated time, and because I had accessibility options booked, we went through a separate entrance. We were checked in separately. We got to go up a different gangway. It was just all really fast and very efficient. I think it took us less than half an hour from arriving to getting on board. So here's a little look at the view of Southampton Dock. Look at all those forklifts, and all of those car parks are full of brand new cars. We then headed to the quays for our first meal of the trip. I will vlog all the food separately because I want to talk about the gluten-free options. This is the gluten-free fish and chips from the quays. Neil had like a salad. We tried a couple of the desserts. Yeah, so this is our first meal of the trip, and it was very nice. And there's a little cake that Neil had.
With the light at the front and align the Velcro strips to secure. Take the belt, pass it around your waist and connect the buckle until it clicks. Pull on the loose end of the belt to tighten it and tuck the strap into the belt.
This is a boat going very slowly. It's probably actually going quite quickly, but from here it feels slow. There is another boat. I believe it is being pulled. It may not be. It may just be guiding it. Escorting it. I have no idea if it's going to catch it and mow it over. Is that a boating term? I don't know. Maybe by the end of the week I will know. It's certainly overtaken those 2 other small boats that are there parked against the side of the wall. The boat that is leaving dwarfs the ones that remain. I do not know which cruise company this ship belongs to.
It's got, I think, there's like Chinese symbols on the very front there, but I'm not 100% sure. But not
So,
we didn't buy good quality binoculars.
I'm not sure which cruise line it is, but it was made in China.
As casseroles to things.
Real mark of quality. If I was on that ship, I wouldn't be worried at all.
There's naked people in the hot tub.
Apparently there are naked people in the hot tub. I will not look. The boat has slowly turned slightly. I don't believe it is yet run aground. But it does appear to be stopped. We now rejoin this epic journey, and I do not believe it has moved whatsoever. I've been informed by my colleague that the ship is an MSC ship. I cannot see that, but she has better eyesight than I can see it. It has been confirmed on the binoculars.
It's definitely MSC.
It is an MSC ship.
So here is a little look around our stateroom. It's lovely. It's a lovely little room. There's plenty of space, plenty of wardrobe space. Here are some of the wardrobes, full-length mirror. There are shelves and things down the side of the bed. And obviously I am going to show you inside all the wardrobes. So I've already unpacked because I am very speedy like that. But yeah, there's plenty of space in the wardrobe. There's enough room for sort of full-length dresses. So you can hang those up. Then there's a bunch of shelf space there. And then this last wardrobe, there is some more hanging space which we popped our coats and jumpers in, and then there's a safe and just a little another shelf at the top there, which is where the hairdryer was. There are some shelves by the side of the bed and lights, and then underneath the lights is a little USB port as well, so you can charge your phones up. The walls are magnetic, so you can take your own hooks and hook things to the wall. You can see that we did that there. There is plenty of space under the bed to fit the suitcases, which is where I stashed ours. So yeah, all in all, it's a really lovely little room. And then on my side of the bed, get the same, just the lights, USB charging, and just some shelves and things there next to the bed. So really handy, and kind of all the storage you need. I personally, for me, for 7 days, it was plenty of storage. So I was pretty pleased with that. The bed was really comfortable as well. There's a look at me in the mirror, and again that's the full length mirror. It is a little bit awkward to see in it obviously because the bed's in the way, but you know, you may do. There's the television, which is a great big TV, and we did find out nearly towards the end of the cruise that the TV does pull out and angle towards the bed slightly more, but we didn't really use it other than to watch what the front of the ship camera was showing us. There's some nice artwork on the wall. There is space at the end of the sofa that we shoved my wheelchair in, so that was really good. And then this is one of those rooms that has a bunk bed, so the ceiling bed pulls out and the sofa bed pulls out to make 2 extra beds, and then this room sleeps 4. Some more storage under the little dresser here. There's a little mini fridge, which is not the biggest fridge in the world, but it did for us. And then, oh, there's Neil's birthday card. There's, you know, your teas, your coffees. Neil bought his own coffee. But there was plenty of milk, plenty of coffee. There were biscuits. It was all refilled every day by our cabin steward, who introduced himself to us shortly after we arrived, actually, which was really good. There's a little telephone there. You can phone the other cabins. You can phone reception. You can phone to book spa treatments on that phone. So, yeah, and I think the boat can contact you via that phone as well. There's the TV. A bunch of channels on it. Cruise radio, video on demand. I did have a quick look to see if there were any adult movies, as I've been led to believe that there are, but there were no adult movies. A bit of a selection. None of it was that new or that good. Nothing really took our fancy, and a lot of what is being shown on the TV is also being shown in the cinema. So just bear that in mind, that if you don't want to go to the cinema, you can watch on your TV. But yeah, we didn't watch a lot of TV, but it was nice to have, and it was nice to have the channels and stuff. And then this is Neil's birthday cake that I had pre-arranged for him. That arrived just after we had been out for lunch. So we got to our rooms at about 2 o'clock. That was when they were ready, and then we headed out to the quays, which I showed you earlier. And then when we got back, there was some champagne and cake, and yeah, it was a nice little surprise for Neil for his birthday, and the cake fit in the fridge, so he was able to eat it over a couple of days. It wasn't gluten-free, sadly, so I couldn't join in. There's the sofa. There's a little table. with a little bit more storage on it. And then this is our little balcony. Again, it's a great size for the two of us. We'd already made use of the tea and coffee facilities. This balcony is classed as an obstructed view balcony because it has this balcony on the left hand side which sort of looks right into your balcony. We didn't really notice the people on that side. They didn't really come out onto the balcony much, except for I think the morning that we sailed into Olden, so you didn't really see them. We weren't really that bothered by them. The fact that they overlooked our balcony, I guess some people might be bothered by that. You can't really see into theirs, but they can definitely, if they stood on that end, they could definitely see into your balcony, so just bear that in mind if you're getting unchanged and stuff. So just heading down into the bathroom now to show you what that looks like. A little light switch outside. There's a step up into the bathroom, so I did forget about that step sometimes, but it was fine. So walk-in shower. The shower was fine, nothing wrong with it. It was a decent enough shower. There's some toiletries there provided by the White Company as like a shower gel and a hair shampoo and stuff. And then these are all the bits you get: spare toilet rolls, tissues. Yeah, it's a nice little sink. There's room for everything. Nice little toilet, everything you need in a bathroom. I did wonder what would happen if I flushed whilst seated. I was tempted to try that a couple of times, but sadly I never did. So if you've ever flushed while seated, let me know what happens. Does it just, suck you down? I'd like to know. And so that was our room. It's not a full tour, and we're not going to give you a full tour of this ship. You barely have to search that hard on YouTube to find hundreds of room tours and cruise tours and ship tours, so I didn't really see the point of doing that, but that's just a little overview of what our room looked like. And let me tell you, it was really lovely to have a balcony. It was nice to sit out here, to look out, to see what was going on in the ports. So that's all the gangway and stuff being packed away, and we are now starting to move away from the dock. So after we had settled into our cabin and unpacked and we had started to sail away, we headed over to the beach house for dinner. This is one of the extra payable options. I had pre-booked this prior to our trip. I pre-booked it through the My Holiday app thing online, so I pre-booked this before we came, and yeah, it was all right. I think we thought it was going to be a lot better than it was, and we were a tiny bit disappointed. We had talked about going back there again, but I think in the end we decided not to. But all in all, it was nice. It was a nice place, until I realised you're essentially just sat in the buffet. It's the same room that they use for the buffet, and I sort of didn't realise that until the next day. So it's not, you're paying an upcharge for something that's maybe not quite as special, I guess, but the food was all right. We both enjoyed what we ate. There was plenty of gluten-free choice for me, so yeah, fairly pleased. So we are back in the room. It's the end of sea day. We just had dinner at the beach house, which was really nice. My dessert wasn't great though, and your dessert, you didn't like that much of it, did you?
No, not my thing.
Yeah, but I think there was lots of stuff there that was gluten-free. And then we went to the Crow's, was it the Crow's Nest we went to? We went to the Crow's Nest and had a drink in there. And then we came back to the room. Neil watched the Formula 1 qualifying. And then I hid behind the curtains and scared him.
Bastard.
So that is the end of our embarkation. Is that how you say it? Embarkation?
Yeah.
That's the end of our embarkation day, and we will see you in the morning for our first sea day. So we were up and out fairly early the next morning, and we were on deck 16, so you're actually really close to the Horizons buffet and the pool area here. And I will say, we did wonder if it would be really noisy being this close to the pool and bar area, but actually it was dead quiet. You couldn't hear anything. So we headed into Horizons for breakfast, and I just think that's so lovely. Look at that view. You're eating your breakfast, you can see the sea. It was lovely. Breakfast buffet was nice. Again, quite a bit of gluten-free choice, and you can also ask for things like gluten-free toast, croissants, rolls. This morning I just had some fruit and yogurt and walnuts. And then this is Neil's breakfast. He's gone for some pastry items. He was not impressed with the toast, and I think the toast situation didn't improve all week, which was a bit of a shame. That was breakfast. We had a little bit of time to kill this morning before we had a fabulous spa thing booked. So here's a little look at a very empty atrium in the morning by Vista's Cafe, which is where you can get Costa coffee and little cakes and things. And here's a little look at the public toilets, because no one ever shows you that, and I thought it would be nice for you to see how clean and spacious they are. Very nice public toilets here, and they're cleaned very often, and they have these very fun automatic doors that open magically. Love it. We then headed down to the thermal spa, which I had pre-booked prior to our holiday. We booked a 2-hour session it was quite an early session, and I think there were maybe 8 other people on this session with us, which actually wasn't too bad. I think any more than that and it would have been a bit of a squeeze in all the different areas, but you get basically 2 hours access to all of this area. So that's the big hydrotherapy jacuzzi pool thing, a couple of steam rooms, a couple of saunas, these sort of hot stone beds, showers, and then there's another little room where you can go in and just relax and have teas and coffees and things. All in all, it was a really lovely experience. I would definitely recommend this, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a nice 2 hours on the pool. It was very relaxing here. There's little locker areas which you use your cruise card to get in and out of, and then there are some showers. There's a disabled shower, there's a disabled toilet, there are a couple of toilets, and then when you're done there's a little space to dry your swimming costume as well, which I've never used one of these before, couldn't really work it properly, wasn't sure what I was doing, didn't really dry my swimming costume, but we had a really nice time in the thermal spa. Definitely would recommend that you do it if you go on a cruise. Good morning. It is our first of 2 sea days, so we've got one at the start and one at the end. We were up early this morning and the clocks went forward an hour, I think, overnight. So I do feel like we got up quite early, but we wanted to have breakfast in the Horizons buffet quite early because we were doing the spa this morning. So I pre-booked the thermal spa before we came on board. I paid 90 quid for 2 of us for 2 hours. And I was a little bit worried in the lead up to the cruise because I'd seen a few things where people were saying that it wasn't really worth it and that they wouldn't have bothered. But actually, the spa was great. The spa was really good, really enjoyed the spa. And I would say actually well worth pre-booking and paying the 90 quid that it cost for the 2 of us, and 2 hours was plenty. So yeah, highly recommend the spa. So Horizons buffet for breakfast was fine. It was really quiet because we were there really early, so we got to sit by the window. We both just had little bits and pieces. I will be doing a separate vlog on the food because I am a celiac, and I want to talk a little bit about the options that are on board for me. But yeah, breakfast was great. We've got lunch today at the Olive Grove booked for 1:30. And then today is celebration day, and whilst we were out in the spa our free drinks tickets arrived, so that's good, and a little birthday card from the crew arrived for Neil, so that was a lot of fun. Yesterday was Neil's birthday and I did organise a cake and champagne and stuff to be in the room, so when we got back from having a look round after we'd sort of checked in and stuff, there was a big there was champagne and a bucket and a cake and stuff, and that was really cool. Well, she was left of the cake. Neil has had a piece. I can't have any because it's not gluten-free, but I got it for Neil. So next thing we're doing is we're going to go down to the Limelight Club. There's a talk on best of British artists, so Lowry, Hockney, Hirst and Banksy. Now Lowry, Hockney and Hirst are some of my favourite artists. I can take or leave Banksy, I get it, I just don't really care about it, but Lowry is one of my favourite artists, and we went to the Lowry Museum earlier this year, so I'm excited to go and just see a little talk on that. I think the point of the talk is to get you to buy very expensive art, but it is very expensive, so we won't be buying any art. So that's what we're doing next, and then after that, like I said, we've got lunch booked at the Olive Grove, so I will see you later.
So if you look at the works on the screen, these were initially created in the 1930s, and by this point he was obsessed with the industrial scene, even though it wasn't really financially benefiting him. Like David Hockney became pioneers of this new way of working, and they changed what could be art. So suddenly a painting of your hometown or of a Campbell's soup can, for example, from another artist of this era, could be featured within the fine art world, and it was really something quite different. So if you're looking at a Banksy print, usually you're looking at kind of 60, 70, sometimes more, sometimes hundreds of thousands of pounds for very low editions, and that's for prints. So they're very, very difficult for us to get as a company, but the one we have on board is a very unusual Banksy, and it's a version of...
And here's just a little look at some of the very expensive artwork you can buy from Clarendon Fine Arts on board P&O. They changed the display up a couple of times during our cruise, so it was nice to walk through here and see what had changed, what was new, see what we liked, see what we definitely couldn't afford. And I will say that somebody did buy that very expensive original Damien Hirst print, which is the red one with all the butterflies on it. They were real butterflies and it was mad expensive, and somebody did buy it. Can I have a sushi?
Pottery competition if you're interested. That one you can do now.
You can have a sushi. Can
You have the coloring sheet there. If you want to pick one of the designs.
There's fruit and veggies over there.
I kind of like the avocado, to be fair.
I quite like the avocado.
I haven't seen one for chair.
So after discovering some of the cutest Jellycat rip-offs I've ever seen, we had a quick little look around the ship. This is Anderson's Bar and Library. You can sit in here, chill out, read a book. We saw a lot of people asleep in here as the week went on, which I thought was quite funny. But there's quite a good choice of books, sort of the typical things you'd expect. This is Anderson's Gym Bar, which we really liked. It was really cool. Here is the onboard cinema. Sadly, we did not bring any change, so I couldn't have a go on the grabbers. But yeah, this is the cinema. There's little boards outside that tell you what's on. There's a little seating plan that tells you what seats are free. This is their onboard gin distillery, which Neil learned about later in the week, which you'll see in another video. And then this is sort of the main shopping area. This is only open when the ship is at sea, so there's your standard sort of cruise shopping here, duty free. Stacks of perfume and things, and yes, I did buy some perfume, and Neil bought some aftershave, and they lure you in. It's not cheap. It's cheaper than it would be in Boots, but it's not cheap. But there's plenty of stuff to look at, plenty of expensive things to imagine you're super rich and buy. We sniffed some stuff and had a good old look around. We still had a little bit of time to kill before our lunch reservation, so we just sat in sort of this bar area outside Keel and Cow, although it technically is Keel and Cow. It's all a little bit weird, all very airport loungy. I couldn't quite get my head around Keel and Cow, if I'm honest, and we decided not to eat there. Yeah, anyway, all a bit weird. We headed to the Olive Grove for lunch. Again, quite a good gluten-free choice. There's lots of bits on the menu, lots of bits on offer. It was quite busy whilst we were here. And the service wasn't that great. Out of everywhere we ate, everything we experienced on board, this was definitely the worst. I will say that paella was outstanding though. I really, really enjoyed that. It was a great big portion and it was really tasty and it was gluten-free. But they gave us a gluten-free shared starter, which was just so disappointing. It was like the sort of sharing meze thing and it was really disappointing. All in all, we wouldn't go back. We then decided to pretend that we were really healthy and we headed down to the onboard gym for a little look. It's a really good gym actually. There's loads of state-of-the-art equipment. It's really nice to go on those treadmills and look out to sea. Yeah, it's a nice gym. So it is a celebration night. We're both in our glad rags. Neil's about to pop his very cool blazer on and we are off to the Epicurean for dinner tonight. We're going to go and try and get some photos done first. Maybe pop to Anderson's bar. But yeah, we are all in our finery, ready to go. Cheers to this.
Cheers, Tim. Okay, well I know what you have for name.
So we ate at the Epicurean that night. This is another meal that I had pre-booked. As it was sort of their celebration night, we wanted to eat somewhere really fancy. Again, great gluten-free choice. We'd been in earlier in the day just to check they could accommodate, and I was offered gluten-free bread, and if you saw Neil's bread just then, you could see why I was so jealous. But yeah, the food here was so good, and I mean so good. If you've got the ability to splash out, I would highly recommend going to eat at the Epicurean because this is one of the nicest meals we had on board. The service was great, the food was great, the atmosphere was great, the venue was lovely. We really enjoyed every single thing we ate. It was just, yeah, it was great. And I think if we hadn't have booked a separate meal here, I think we definitely would have eaten here again. It was just, yeah, so nice and it felt so fancy. It felt really luxurious. It did feel properly celebration night. So yeah, if you can, I would highly recommend getting yourself to the Epicurean for dinner. We then headed to Anderson's bar so Neil could try a gin flight. Anderson's bar is really, it's quite a cool little place. It's a fun gin bar. They brew the gin on board. It's just a really nice place. Brew the gin, distill the gin. What do you think? Was it citrusy and herbaceous?
Tastes like gin.
2 ices.
About half of it.
Half of this. Gin blending masterclass ticket secured. So it is 11:20 at night, believe it or not, because it's pretty light outside. It's just gotten darker in like the last 10-20 minutes. It was a lot lighter, but yeah, we've had a very nice evening. We've just been to the silent disco. That was really cool, and we've just come back to the room. We had a really nice night. We've eaten at the Epicurean, which was a really good meal. We went to Anderson's and Neil's booked a gin, what is it, gin blending? Neil's booked a gin blending sort of thing for Friday, which sounds really cool, and you get to take a bottle of your own gin that you've blended home with you, which is quite cool. Neil had a gin flight in Anderson's, I had a cocktail, and then we've just been and tried the silent disco, which was really fun. So that is the end of this video and the end of our sea day. Tomorrow we are in Haugesund. We get there about 9 o'clock. Haven't really got any plans yet. We're just gonna sort of take it easy, have a little look around, maybe stay on the ship a bit. We're gonna have a lie-in in the morning because it's a very late night for Neil. So that's it. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.